Hi, welcome back to the podcast. I'm Dr. Lindsay Renzullo.
I'm Dr. Christopher Nolligan. We are here on location at the MSPCA. So last month we talked to Mike Kiley, and this month we have a great tour set up and an interview set up with Heather. Heather Robertson is the Director of Development.
Sounds perfect.
Excellent. Here at the MSPCA.
Goat wrangler,
Yeah.
whatever's needed.
So tell us about you and what your job is and kind of how you came to the MSPCA.
Well, I like to say that I have the best job in the organization. On any given day, I can literally be wrangling goats or working on an adoption campaign, touring with donors. So I do get to have kind of the best of all experiences on the property. I actually started as a volunteer though back in 2004. My previous life, as I say, was as the director of marketing for a restaurant chain in Boston, and loved that, loved the experience, have been doing it for decades, but really wanted to find an opportunity volunteering where I felt like I was having an impact, and always grew up around animals and loved them, and happened to discover Nevins Farm just on a family trip and said, this looks like a fun place to volunteer.
And the Nevins Farm, I mean, coming here, or if you haven't been here, and what's really exciting about us being here on site today, is it's kind of a unique place. A lot of animal shelters don't really have, with the connotation that people think about shelters. This sort of really goes against any sort of negative connotation, with shelters that you would sort of have.
I like to think so, and I think that's actually a question that I get a lot when I tell people what I do. Everyone's reaction is really, oh, how can you work in a shelter? It's going to be so sad. It's going to be really depressing or heart-wrenching. And yet I love coming to work every day because the people who work here and volunteer here, the people who support the work that we do, they are the kindest and most compassionate people that I've ever encountered in my life, and to be surrounded by that type of love and support is so uplifting. And we're really fortunate in the actual facility that we have. I mean, we have a few buildings that are, shall we say, antique.
Yep.
But they're functional, and then we have, of course, the big, beautiful Noble Family Adoption Center, and that allows us to provide top quality care for the animals that are here, as well as the community animals that come to us for different programs. And it's just really the best facility that we could have.
So tell us what kind of animals that do you have here?
That's actually a great question. Yeah. We actually are one of the few facilities in New England that cares for, of course, your typical domestic animals, cats, dogs, chinchillas, hamsters, birds, whatever. That's what most people think of as an animal shelter, that we have just cats and dogs. But then we have this whole other part of our property that is devoted to helping horses and farm animals that are in need, and coupled with just those two facets of our adoption program, we also have several other core programs that all combined make Nevins Farm truly unique. In fact, I would probably say that nationwide there's maybe one or two others that have all of those programs based on one campus.
Now, what is this room utilized for? We didn't ask this before the show started, but now I'm kind of curious looking around what we do in here.
Yeah, I've been here.
I have this is one of the most hotly contested rooms on our property. Even though we have 55 acres and multiple buildings on the property, we've actually outgrown our space. This room functions as our education and training room. So during the day and in the evening, we run dog training classes. We do behavior consults for people who might be struggling with their dog and certain behavior. We also have a very active humane education program at Nevins Farm. In fact, for the MSPCA, all of the humane education programs have really been based here and grown out from Nevins Farm. So on Friday mornings, this room will be full with little kids in carriers and strollers and whatnot, listening to someone read a story about animals.
Oh, that's
They'll
awesome.
Get to visit with an adoptable animal. The Little Bookworm Storytime is one of my favorite programs. Really enjoy that. But we also use this space for special events. We use it, of course, for our once a month feral cat clinics, where volunteers will go out and they will trap community cats, and we will, in partnership with Merrimack River Feline Rescue Society, we will get them spayed or neutered, vaccinated, and volunteers will take them back, recover, and release. So that's a really important part of the work that we do at Nevins Farm to help cats that aren't clearly owned but are living in our community. Years ago.
Yeah, you were talking about the senior pets, I think, a little bit off camera before. That's always a challenge, right? So you have these, 10 or 11 or sometimes higher aged cats that maybe have one or two medical conditions. Tell us about some of those initiatives.
And I think that's, at least amongst our staff here and our volunteers, I think that's where you always tug on our heartstrings, right? These cats who, for no fault of their own, they're here in the shelter, maybe their owner passed, or maybe there was a family dynamic that
divorces,
so
allergies sometimes.
Things change in people's lives, and that's why we're here. We're a safety net for those animals, and seniors often struggle because they can be obviously sometimes more expensive in their senior years for an owner to take on, somebody with some geriatric bills or perhaps hyperthyroidism, diabetes, those kinds of things. So it can be hard for someone who doesn't already have a bond with that animal to convince them to A, bond with the animal, and then B, take on what's clearly going to be added expense. So the Catholicats actually have focused the last few years our efforts on helping senior cats. And so this July, as we've done the last few Julys, we're going to be waiving adoption fees for any senior cat over the age of 12. And it brings out a really remarkable group of adopters, people who, like us, are moved by their stories. They are in it for all of the right reasons and want to help that cat have the best possible, however many of years that cat has. And I love seeing.
Well, you started in the cat room, like you said.
Yes.
You have a thing for the kids.
Disclaimer: I love my dogs. I love my dogs. If they're watching this, it's very important. They're the light of my life. They also are seniors, but
I think too, I think there's different levels of people being able to do the care that a pet needs, and I think you just think, oh, a senior pet could have any number of things. Well, it's probably only going to have one thing, or maybe no things.
Right.
It's just older. I just remember I adopted. He wasn't even senior. It's just this 1-year-old diabetic, which is unheard of with cats. And I bring this cat home. I set it loose. I sort of got permission from my husband. And he looks at this cat and he's like, why are we adopting a cat that we already know has problems? Like, look, I'm a veterinarian. Who best to take care of this diabetic cat? And that was an assessment that we made. And of course that has turned out wonderfully. He's like the best cat ever. He's not diabetic anymore. So I fixed him because I'm that good.
Kudos.
It's just one of those things that you might look at your life and say, no, I couldn't do that. But then when it comes to the individual, I think it's about assessing what the individual needs. And so don't rule it out just because you think it's going to be.
And like you said, they could have no issues at all. It could just be the fact that they're older,
senior,
and the fact that they could potentially have issues makes people anxious or nervous. So, and some of these senior pets are just great. I have a few clients that will only adopt senior dogs or senior cats, and I can think of one in particular that they always get these senior Goldens, and to them it is the best thing they could do for these Goldens. And they'll come in and they might have some arthritis or a little slower to get up, but geez, those Goldens are so happy with them, and they just give them the best life.
I mean, I do find that too, that the rescue pets are often, you think that they're going to be, oh, you're the second owner, so they couldn't possibly love you as much as the original. They actually often glom onto you more.
It's a gratitude almost.
Yeah. Yes.
Like they're like,
no.
maybe this will go away too. Let me be at my best. I don't know what it is.
I just think they can like sense the kindness. Like they just seem to like really know that they're in this like wonderful place. Well, talking about the animals, we can kind of take us on a tour, like a virtual tour, which is going to be very exciting for our production crew. This will be the first mobile tour that we have, so this will be a new experience for the podcast. But we're going to go meet some animals and see Nevins Farm, like behind the scenes.
Yes, I'd love that.
Excellent.
I love sharing it.
All right, so stay tuned.
So let's go meet some animals. One thing that people think about when they think of a shelter is that it's all dogs, maybe some cats. But remarkably, we take in more rabbits every year than we do puppies.
Wow.
Because rabbits are not always a well thought out.
You are correct. You are correct.
Pet choice, right?
Yes. Rabbits come to us for a lot of different reasons. One of the common reasons really is the fact that maybe the child in the home lost interest. People often don't realize that rabbits can live to be 8 or 12 years old. So if your 10-year-old wants to get a rabbit at the local pet store, he's going to be off to college and you are still going to have that rabbit in your care. So something we talk to our adopters about when they're coming in and they're considering, is a rabbit the right pet for me? And we do talk about longevity. We do talk about the needs of the rabbit, that, you know, having time out on the adoption, in your home, letting them free roam, get some exercise, that's going to contribute to overall health.
Yeah, I don't think people always realize that these are not caged, like exclusively a caged animal.
Excellent.
They're really more, they're almost as, some of them are bigger than cats. If you look at like this guy over here. And they can't just be in this little enclosure. They need to have exercise for good health and their GI and all of that. So.
But a benefit too is that they can be litter box trained.
Yeah.
So I mean, they are, even though they will need to maybe move around in the home.
Hopefully they won't have bunny droppings everywhere.
Yeah, they can get rid of it, which was good.
These guys over here actually just came back from their foster home. These little babies over here. So they came back on, I believe, on Friday from their foster home, and 5 of them have already found homes.
That's great.
These 3 are still in the market, if you will, for a forever home. So the whole litter was named after wine variety. So
that's Montana rabbit. Oh, I like that.
Maybe you need
I need a rabbit.
You need a little rosé.
I'll have to rename it Pinot, but yeah.
Oh.
So because of their age, and of course they're amazingly cute and adorable, and their foster family took excellent care of them and really got them very well socialized, they're going to be going home very, very
Soon.
quickly.
Yeah.
Yet we still have, in another part of our facility, we have some rabbits who have been with us since September.
Yeah.
And that is because they have some special medical needs. So we're looking for just the right adopter and someone who's going to be willing to take that on to find a great exotics vet and make sure that they get the ongoing care that they'll need. So we can.
And this room though, this rabbit room, like look how nice this is with the big windows, and like it just is so welcoming. It's a nice spot. It really is. I know. Yeah. It's a nice spot. It does smell good.
Everybody gets time out of their cage during the morning. We have volunteers that come in and do clicker training with them.
Oh, that's great.
So really devoted small animal task force that helps
Awesome.
care for them. Let's head this way. Supplies
Environmental
for
enrichment.
Yes.
I do love that about, here is that you've really carefully selected the items that you offer. You're not just saying this is retail to raise money.
Right.
Yes, that, but also these are things that we think are valuable, and we're not going to necessarily offer something that we think is not healthy or not appropriate. So.
And I think that is it helps adopters understand what their individual pet is really going to need to be healthy and happy in their future home. Through the back way, so you're kind of getting the behind the scenes tour. To our left is our surgery suite, which is active probably every single day. Maybe we have a few hours off on a Sunday afternoon. We have over here, we have a bank of cages for animals that are owned by the public. As we talked about earlier, we do a lot of low-cost spay-neuter programs, helping people who may not have opted to spay or neuter their cat or dog, but with the services that we offer, they're convinced to do so. So these animals are waiting, and then in our surgery suite, we have our surgical team. We have, I think, memory serves, one full-time vet and several part-time vets, as well as, of course, support from many veterinary practices in Merrimack Valley, people who on their day off, it amazes me every single time that they're going to come and actually work for free and help animals in need. So it's really warms my heart. Okay, so I promised to introduce you to a couple of rabbits who've been with us for a long time, but we're going to sneak in through our cat adoption room. Because we've had such great success with spay and neuter, you see a lot of empty cages here.
Wow, that's great.
In our cat adoption room, which warms my heart.
And also, people should take note of look at this facility. This is not what you think of when you think of an animal shelter. These are, cat condos that are clean and well maintained, and it's a really large space for them, to be in.
We're really, really fortunate, and we're always trying to improve. It's tough for an animal to be in a shelter environment. It's very stressful. They don't know us, they don't know the other animals, there's strange sounds and smells. So however we can create a welcoming space for them for the time that they're here is really important. Both the physical housing as well as the enrichment, the daily care, all of that comes together to keep a pet as stress-free as possible. Kennel stress is a very real thing.
And I like to see that there's so many, dedications to, a variety of people or animals. And so you can tell that, people have donated and helped out the facility even more and have a permanent sort of fixture in the place.
We're very fortunate to have such wonderful support from our community, and a lot of the signs that you see acknowledging their sponsorship, these in this room are cats that I knew at one point. Maybe I adopted them out, so it's really nice to see that ongoing support.
My goodness, look at these kittens.
Oh.
Who wants to come? I need to put my glasses on for this.
They're very
cute. Is everybody resting?
What was their story, Heather?
I think these guys just came back from a foster home. I think I'm suspecting it was an accidental litter. Oh, Stretch. Okay,
oh,
who wants
look
to
at
come
the
up?
babies. Hi, babies.
Hi. Do you guys want to? And this is the best part. You can see adopted.
Oh, great.
Yes.
All of them.
Oh, great.
Come on.
Look at the baby.
Tiny Tim. Oh. And
Someone's-
Tucker. Hello.
We woke them up from their
Ew.
morning nap. Yeah. They're all, look at they're just waking up. This one's barely opened his eyes.
So kittens, as we were talking about earlier, we see under 1,000 kittens a year now.
It's crazy.
So kittens tend to be very popular and have no problems in finding homes. And of course, this is a quiet time of year for kittens in general.
Let's not let them escape. They're adopted.
Don't leave. Oh, they are so cute.
Yeah.
Very sweet.
So this is a rabbit that I wanted to introduce you to. Over here, this is Patriot. And then his buddies, Koshi and Joshi, in their respective cages. So these rabbits, Patriot in particular, he's been here since I think September. They all have been exposed to Pasteurella. So some chronic upper respiratory concerns. We have them here in one of our cat colonies because we, of course, want to minimize their contact with other rabbits.
Yeah.
Because it's very easily transmitted to other rabbits. And while these guys may have been exposed, they're currently feeling good, they can have a good quality of life in their home. They just need that special person who's going to say, that is something that I can manage and that I'm comfortable with. So. So this is Kathy, one of our longtime volunteers, and she is actually doing a little socialization with her lady friend Shadow. Shadow had a very difficult transition to shelter life, so she spent the first few weeks actually in a crate in one of our staff offices, and she bonded with Kathy very closely. So Kathy makes a point every single day of coming in and spending time with Shadow just to have her feel some attention and some love. It's part of our overall enrichment plan for all of our animals. And Kathy's really devoted.
Oh, that's awesome.
A lot of people are surprised that we have birds available for adoption, and it runs the gamut from finches and parakeets as we have today, and we often have doves.
I'm surprised you have doves. What are doves a pet that people actually?
Yes, and a lot of people enjoy the sound of doves.
They are very soothing.
It's a gentle noise, and people really appreciate them as companions. We also, quite frankly, get a number of large birds in, so Amazons, African greys.
Do people not realize that they live 8 years?
Well, that's actually a really good point. People are fascinated with large birds and often just don't realize that bird might outlive them.
Yeah.
Or their life circumstances over the 8 decades that bird might live could change.
And also, those guys, they're so smart. They're very needy as pets.
Yeah.
Like, they're actually one that I don't advise most people even consider just because of that. Like, and if you don't provide that for them, they end up like, they pluck themselves bare and like there's,
we see that a lot, unfortunately. But we're very lucky because we have a certified bird behaviorist who volunteers here. And she does a lot of consults. So when someone reaches out and is having an issue with their bird before that bird even comes here, where they're going to experience more stress, we can connect them with her, and she can do an in-home consult. And
these finches are like,
I know, reps. They are ants.
They have a lot to say about my presence.
Hi guys. Hi guys. I know, they're very cute.
One of the really interesting things right now, we have only a handful of dogs on our adoption floor, and in the last couple of weeks we've had a lot of visitors coming in, which is great. They want to adopt or maybe just even walk a dog, and they ask us, where are the dogs? There's not enough dogs. And until we tell the story about our proactive outreach into the community for spay and neuter and surrender prevention, they're actually sometimes upset that there's not dogs here for them to walk. But then when we explain why there are fewer dogs, they actually get excited. That's so great. Blue is the most adorable pit bull mix that you'll ever see. Forgive me if I don't pronounce this correctly. Cerebellar degeneration. Losing a word in there. Basically, Blue is wobbly and has a few special needs in future home, but is so affectionate and so loving. And we're doing a full court press to find Blue just the right home. So just had a little bit of media outreach. And hopefully we'll see you in passing as we're touring around. This is Abby, one of our staff members, as well as Blue's foster mom.
Oh, good boy. Oh, there you go. This is Wobbles. Oh, really cute. What do you think? Ready? We won't go in your kennel. I'll take it out real quick.
So Blue's wobbly just because he lacks some of the things that the brain mechanisms have to kind of moderate your reflexes, but that's really all that is that he can't step like this because his brain can't shut off the excessive motion. But he could be a great little guy for somebody.
He's only 8.
Let's get him adopted.
Yes, please
Adopt
do.
Baloo.
Here he is. Hi. Hi, Jessica. So if you know any
Hound
athletic
lover.
folks that are looking for an outdoor buddy and very cute. And he's been with us a little while. He's also looking for just the right home. So probably one of the biggest stressors on the equine and farm animal program for us is prevalence of backyard flocks. The last however many years, people really, they want to keep chickens and they want to know where their eggs are coming from, but not everyone does their research. So it happens that either they discover sometimes that their city or town does not allow birds, or maybe they allow hens but not roosters. Maybe they purchase chicks at their local grain store and don't realize that chances are good that as they mature, you'll find out 50% of them are roosters. Antique barn building. I think it was built in the late 1920s, and at that time it was very state of the art.
But still, it's very charming.
It's very
and
beautiful, yeah.
It serves its purpose. We have 22 stalls in here. These guys came in separately. Hannah, who is the lady in orange, she is, I think, 21 or 22 years old. She's a standardbred. And Juliet is only 13. She's a thoroughbred. She actually had a racing career and she did quite well.
You guys are adorable. Oh my goodness. So this is where you can see if people buy
Yeah.
when they're babies.
Super
Oh,
cute,
they're really
but they're going to get to be, say, 100, 150
Yeah.
pounds. Like, hi. Hello. We have doctors in almost all of the New England states and New York, so cover a lot of ground. I have one horse to introduce you to. I'm gonna laugh.
Awesome.
Down here. This is Fred.
Oh, gee.
It's open.
I'm trying to get right out.
So the story of Fred, he's our very first mannequin horse. We run an equine ambulance service that actually is nationally recognized. Our manager for the program, he actually created this rescue equipment called the Rescue Glide, and he uses the mannequin horses as if they were down in a stall, stuck in a cranberry bog or that kind of thing, and he'll teach first responders, equine vets, other humane organizations how to use the equipment.
That's awesome.
To move a large animal. So we've used it for horses, we've used it for sheep, llama, alpaca, and he travels the country.